the email with the annual meeting minutes from last year?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Any corrections? Anything that we need to? No. I'm looking in the chat, or you can turn on your mics. This is kind of weird being virtual. All right. Nothing I see. All right. If I'd like to call for the approval, call for a vote. George, am I correct?
Yep.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from last year?
Approved.
Approved.
Okay.
Okay.
And a second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. All right. Next agenda item are the officers' report. And I didn't necessarily include mine because there's been such an odd it's been an odd year for us all, and we've kind of been in status or limbo this particular year that has just passed due to COVID, and I'm just we're kind of like waiting for. I hear that wonderful cure-all is going to be released in a matter of hours right before the election on Tuesday. So you can just hold on till then. But since in reality we're not going to have that wonderful miracle elixir come out, we will just persevere. And I think that's really my message, is that I think we've all done as much as we can to cope and deal with this reality. And I keep hearing that new reality, and I'm not sure if I like it or not, but it's kind of this reality that we are all facing, especially as an organization such as ours that really does thrive on making social connections, meeting each other, sharing ideas, hearing these enlightened speakers and scholars speak. It just seems odd that we've now in the educational realm, I've had to convert everything to online training and teaching, and I think we've all made that technological leap. So I think we just need to continue exploring new ways of using this technology until this reality does kind of get back to so-called air quote normal. But yes, there's we've gotten the Zoom license. We're obviously utilizing it to its best purpose. Our get-togethers and hangouts that we are doing pretty much every month has been very successful, and I think that connectivity is what we do thrive on. But fortunately, we did have that out of sorts collaboration where the print exchange, and I think that was very successful. And I'm just thrilled that we had so many contributors, and we were able to get those out in due time. And thank everybody who did contribute. And let's see, out of sorts was one of the highlights of the year, one of the few highlights. And everyone's support. I do appreciate the membership as well as the officers who are doing their level best to make things work in this odd time. So that's all I have, really. I'm thrilled that Val has taken and created the Instagram account. Social media is a wonderful way to make connections with our membership, and as well as people that really are curious about what we do. So I want to encourage every member, if you don't have Instagram, to consider loading it. It is a phone.
Get it.
Your phone-based, thank you, Ray. It is a phone-based app, and it is something that not everyone is comfortable with. But tag APHA Chesapeake in almost everything you can do. Val will see it. It'll get onto our feed, that sort of thing, and that's really how we can grow and be so-called influencers in our.
Can I jump in real quick, Don?
You can.
Yeah. So for the Instagram, if you don't use Instagram or you have something you're working on, you can email me your photos and a caption, and I can post it. So anytime you're working on something, even if you don't have the app, you can email me a picture and I'll try to get it up.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to post our calendar pages every month, and I'm still working through the out of sorts things. So I'm behind, but I'm trying to keep things up. So the more you email me, the more I'll post.
That's great, and that's fine. And and of course, follow us. That's sort of the group and all that. And the hashtags really do work too. So when you see something like it, and that helps, generate, those algorithms that we so desperately want to get out there. So so that ends my report. Thank you all. And Chris, our Vice President, is up.
If you have the meeting or my report, our Dylan Lewis is with us today, our Denker Fellow for the year, and as Don said, we had to curtail our programs this year. We almost got one meeting in, and unfortunately, the field trip up to APHA, Pennsylvania was canceled like, what, Randy, about a week before it happened, I think.
Yeah, we were one of the first things canceled.
Yeah. So we're still looking, man, I can't wait to get up there whenever that magic elixir actually does come out. And then we've had successful Zoom gatherings, 4 of them over the year, and it had its upside that more of the members could join in. I think usually we had about 20 people at a gathering. But the downside, of course, is that it wasn't as nice as getting together in person. So that's all I have. If you have any questions or if somebody can remind me of something that should have been in there, I'd appreciate it. All right, I guess we're good.
Thank you, Chris. All right, Secretary George Barnum is up.
Hi, everybody. You have my report in your hand. I just want to sort of amplify that we're very pleased and we're very grateful to everybody who responded when we tried to make up for the big loss that we had in membership renewals in the first part of this year. I wish we could blame that on the pandemic, but I don't really think that we can. I think we can blame it on other things than that, external to us, but other things than the pandemic. So I'm really grateful to the 17 or so people who re-upped, including 2 who will remain nameless, but who thought they had already paid but weren't sure, got the notice, paid again right off the bat. So they're good through all of next year, and we're grateful for that response. It was interesting that we sent about 80 notices. We went back through lapsed memberships for 5 years, and we sent about 80 notices. We were only actually down from 2019 about 20 members. Now 20 is a lot for us to go down all at once. We more expect to go down 6 or 8 if we go down. So we sent 80. And it was very interesting that a lot of the responses we got were from people who were lapsed some time ago. So that was interesting, and we're glad to have everybody back on board. And it's probably at this point that we should say that for 2021, of course, now we're just about to the season when it's time to renew again. I'm working very hard with the national board to impress on them that we need to send a very clear, very unambiguous, short, sweet, and to the point notice to every member of the association that says, hey, renew your membership now. No, letters with 9 other things in them, no, make a membership renewal be a membership renewal. So you'll be seeing that. And for the first, now it's 68 people who renew chapter, we have a keepsake for you, and I will show it to you if I can. second.
Looks like Chris has it up.
Yeah,
Nice job.
okay.
It's an incredible job.
You need to see it. When you see it in person, you'll gasp.
It is beautiful.
You'll gasp.
It is
Yeah,
beautiful.
if you only knew what Chris Manson put into this thing.
That's right.
We were talking when I picked them up. Chris, you wanna give a little bit of what went into this?
Well, if we've got an extra hour, hour and a half, sure. But
That's just to get through what.
in brief, it was
We can
Imagine what actually.
it was a font from Germany that had to be extensively worked over and fitted up and fiddled with. But at the end of the day, after all of that, it actually performs the way it's supposed to perform. And it has a, I think it's got a presence to it, sort of stature. Also, it's fairly large, so it's kind of in your face about that. And you can't get much more printing history than Gutenberg's, famous Bible page. So there we are.
There we are.
Is that?
I should say that it's probably worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you get it for free if you just join up again.
At
So.
least. That's right. That's right. So act today. And we're hard at work with National to have them figure out a way to let us know who's renewing so we can actually do this.
George?
Yeah.
George, how do we act today if we want to act? 'Cause
Well,
I've been seeing you looking at me like I'm maybe one of the people that have failed to, you.
Absolutely not. I name no names. I make no.
Yeah, but I'm looking at you. I see what you're looking at. Is there a way we can do it? I mean, can we go online and just get the darn thing over with?
You can always, any day of the year, you can go to printinghistory.org and you can renew there.
Okay.
You can also go to printinghistory.org, and if you dig around enough, you can find the form and print it out and mail it in. And if you have trouble finding it on printinghistory.org, which you might, because I always do, if you email me,
yes,
we'll send it to you happily.
Okay.
George, do you want to just send that link and that form to everybody?
I will be sending out that link and that form in chapter notes from now until February, every month. So have no fear. Yeah, Deborah?
So when I realized that I had to be one of 70, the first 70 to renew to get that keepsake, I'm on it. I'm one of the 2 that has now renewed for next year. So do it. And it wasn't hard. I just got onto the printing org, and I actually found it fairly easily how to renew.
That's really great. Sometimes the link to do it online works really, really, really well, and sometimes it doesn't work quite so well. So I'm glad it worked for you. Casey, did you have something?
Yeah, is there, I remember talking about it with the board years ago, but is there a way now that we could have like an automatic resubscription, like you can opt in for that?
Every time we have this conversation, every time we have the conversation about membership, we have that conversation.
Yep.
And all I can really tell you is, yes, it's possible, and no, it hasn't happened yet.
Nope.
And the reason it hasn't happened yet is that it has to be set up by somebody in Wild Apricot. And that probably says almost all to you. Wild Apricot, folks, for the who don't know, is the absolutely free open source database that we use to manage the membership in National, and it's you get what you pay for.
Yes.
So we're trying to figure that out. We've also keep having the discussion that's been going on ever since you were vice president, Casey, about not having the membership on a calendar year basis, having it from when you pay to when you pay, having it rolling. But that's much harder in many ways. And so we haven't been able to work that out.
You
Anyway.
had 47 years to do that while he was vice president.
So I want to conclude my report just by saying
Hey, good. How are you?
to people. Thank you to Chris,
It is.
who worked
I
hard.
have clothes in the car so I can be festive.
Somebody needs to mute.
Yeah, the host can mute everybody. The host can mute everybody.
I think that was Beth. Okay. Thanks to Chris and Pat, who would be hosting this if they could today, and who worked really, really, really hard on that beautiful keepsake. And we're so grateful. And thanks to Val and Ray, who did the wonderful annual service on the calendar. It looks so gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
And we are so pleased with it. And thanks also to all of the contributors, because it really, every year, it just goes from strength to strength. It looks really, really, really beautiful this year. As it did last year, as it did the year before, as for the past 9 years.
George, can I jump in about the calendars real quick?
You sure can.
So if you haven't ordered your calendar yet, there was a link that was sent around by George sometime last week or so.
And again.
Yeah, so I know we had a couple issues at first, but if you click on that link that takes you to the Google form, you can fill that out. That's just for members because we're not charging you shipping, since normally you would be picking them up today. So if you want to order some calendars through that, go to that link and put your order in. You can pay by check by mailing a check to Lauren, or I can send you a credit card invoice. And then live on our website is a link for other people to buy. So if your friends want to buy it, you can send them that Square store link, and that's for other people, and I can ship them anywhere. So everything that was ordered up until yesterday morning shipped out, and you should have gotten a tracking thing. But make sure you get your orders in. I think we've gone through about a third of them. So let's make sure they all find lovely homes for 2021.
Wow. Wonderful.
Ta-da!
Yeah, and remember, as Casey always reminds us, they make wonderful gifts. That's about, the calendars are about all the Christmas shopping I've done for the last 5 years.
Yeah, they're $20 each or 5 for 100.
Right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, George. All right. All right. Treasurer report. We have Lauren Emirates ready.
Hey guys. For the most part, the Treasury report's pretty simple. We started with about $13,000 and we're ended September with about $13,000. We haven't gotten all the orders for the calendars accounted for yet, so I just put a partial report in the notes. It's not that exciting, but we're doing amazing. That's about all I got.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you. It's all in black and white in the agenda, so wonderful. Thank you. All right. Old business. It looks like it's time to have a little discussion on the LC Press update from Chris Manson and George Barnum.
George,
Okay.
you want to go ahead?
I'll start. Of probably everything that we're up to, this has been the thing that has kind of had the biggest setback from all of the cessation of normal life. Up to the point of when the pandemic started, we had determined in conversations with the folks at LC that the idea of the iron press was really not their first choice at all, for all of the reasons that we kind of already knew about the narrative that they are developing for the whole exhibit that will surround the press when it's in place at the library. The narrative for an iron hand press is totally different than for a wooden common press. So Mark Diminution said, we'd really like to continue to try to figure out if we can find a way to do a wooden common press. And having said that, then literally 3 days later, the lockdown started. I mean, that's how close that conversation happened. And so we just have sort of lost the communication there. So where we are is that we have heard from someone up in Maine who has built common presses before and who is interested in speaking with us if we decide to go forward about participating in some way. Either, we hire him to do it or he consults or something. He's a printer in Portland, Maine, and it apparently has built several. So we have that on the burner, and we need to sort of get back in communication with the folks at LC to find out what's really going on with their planning about the space and so forth. So it's been very quiet, but I don't think it's quite, in the words of British comedy, I don't think it's quite dead yet. So we'll try to get some life breathed back in. Chris, do you have anything to add? And is Seth on? I think I saw
here.
Yep. Yeah, maybe if either one of you have anything to add, that would be great.
Well, the only thing that occurs to me is that, as far as I know, the Library of Congress is going through a huge renovation.
Right.
And this press that they're interested in is probably going into a kind of visitor education center kind of something. And who knows if that's even been, designed much less actually built. So they, at this point, even if we gave them a press, they would have no place to put it.
Right.
And so they're, the whole thing seems to have kind of gotten stuck in this no man's land here, this netherworld of construction and COVID and all of that kind of thing. Usually the problem with these things is that you don't have the money to buy a press, and we're up front and we've got the money at the start to get it going, and then we wind up with all these other impediments. But at any rate, hope springs eternal, and we'll look forward to something dynamic and wonderful happening in the next couple of years, perhaps.
Let me just dive in and say that as of that conversation with Mark Diminution in March, the plans were reasonably well advanced for that huge renovation of all the visitor space in the Jefferson building. And Jackie, are you aware of anything about that? As far as I know, that has, that's underway, and the space that that they had in mind for the press was part of that planning.
I think, yeah, I don't know if any real construction is going on. I know the exhibition space is smaller than they had originally planned because of crowd sizes and traffic that have nothing to do with COVID. I mean, just the way the building is, it has to be smaller than originally planned. I've been involved in just a few conversations about what should be in the space, just based on education and who might be visiting. The idea of having a press was always received very positively. But yeah, I haven't had any conversations at high levels. But because you don't think that because you're not hearing from them, it's not going on. Because it takes a long time to come up with a call number at this library.
It would have
Such a-
taken
mean
a
if they don't
it's
like
such a
us
big
anymore,
place. Yeah,
right?
yeah. And yeah, let's not be discouraged. And there's nobody here. I mean, it's not like we can go, knock on an office door. It's like a little ghost town here.
Are you actually at our nation's library?
I am at your nation's library, working full time, which is wonderful. But most people are not. I feel like it's me. It's me and the Capitol Police and the cleaning staff. No, I think it's about 25% of the staff is here on any given day. Like the reading room is there for library staff, the rare book reading room, but there's just 2 or maybe 3 people there.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think Mark is coming in at all. So yeah, it's very up in the air. But I think that the planning aspect of things that the library is doing, that's still churning. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it was my assumption that if anything had happened that had just chopped this off, that they said, well, we just can't do that on the library end, that we would have heard about it by now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But as I say, we'll try to get things, back on track with Mark and Stephanie and see where we are. Seth?
Let me know if there's anything I can do. I don't think Mark is coming in, but of course we can get in touch. Stephanie is here, I believe, a couple days a week.
Great.
And I could get in touch with her just to see if there's anything we can do to help things move along. I'd be happy to do that.
Great. Now, Seth, have you got anything to add to this conversation?
Well, I would like to apologize to everyone for, honestly, the past couple months not having, everyone in the chapter, to not having really dedicated a lot of time to this. But I have been drafting, and George, I think I told you 2 weeks was my timeline, like maybe right when the pandemic started. So I'm sorry, but
well,
things got a bit out of hand.
2 weeks of what year? That's the,
Exactly. Yeah, I'll pick the 2 weeks and get back to you. But no, I've been drafting a proposal on sort of different levels of what a press could be based on a given budget and a commitment of people, resources, etc. That would hopefully include sort of the no one wants this option and no one wants that option, and everything in between is up for negotiation, kind of. So that's sort of where what I'm trying to put together, and hopefully that'll be done soon.
Good. Good.
So sorry, everyone. To all of you, I'm looking at all of your faces. I do feel badly that I haven't done that for the chapter. So
I'd like to say that seriously, you got nothing to apologize for.
Well, thanks, Ray.
And I agree. You're absolutely right.
Yes, we all agree. Yes.
So that's the report. Are there any?
Given that, I'd like to apologize. Never mind.
Wait, let me write that down.
Circle the date. Okay. All right. So thank you, Chris, George, Seth, Jackie, for that update. Number 5, new business is an exciting time for us all. It's time for the election for the 2021-23 cycle. And I have to report that the current officers have agreed to stand again for re-election. But we do want to have the opportunity for nominations from the floor. So if there's nominations, please, you can self-nominate or nominate another member. Or put it in the chat.
Including a member who isn't present.
That's right.
Do you have any scores to settle with anybody?
Is George, and is this something that we, this is not, is there opportunity after the meeting to still nominate?
Yeah, I think you can leave it open if you want to set a deadline. of maybe a few days or a week or something like that.
Yeah, I would say email directly to George any nominations you might have in a week's time. So a week from today would be the deadline if you would like to nominate yourself or another member for one of the 4 officer positions. All right. All right. We'll leave it open.
I'll send out a notice to that effect later today to the whole membership. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Don, does that mean then that we have the vote at another meeting? I mean, we have to have in other words, it's just the nominating meeting and then we.
Well, our bylaws actually have a written ballot requirement. So after a week, we will have whatever candidates have nominated or the remaining current officers, and then those people will be on the ballot, and those will be mailed out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. All right. So we'll leave that open. B, we have the update on the APHA National Conference as well as the Hamilton Aways Goose. I'm curious, is there been, how many of us are planning to attend the conference or the Aways Goose? As I tell my students, I put it in the chat or you can turn on your mics. Do we have a good representation of our chapter at the Aways Goose? Aways Goose.
I'm going. This is Val. Okay. I'm going to go. And I think I'm maybe hosting one of the breakout rooms on Friday night.
Yes, we definitely need. Okay, Seth is good. Randy, good. Casey, I'm attending. I'm also a breakout room host.
Bill and I are a breakout room host also.
Yes. So I know there's still some need for volunteers. So if you would like to, volunteer for a breakout room or there's other activities, we can still, I think, get you in the loop to participate in that meeting. And if you haven't, paid for the conference, I understand there's opportunities for you to go, attend for free. So as a volunteer. So,
I think you can still also, if you're interested, you can still sponsor a student. So in other words, pay a student's way. So if you're interested in that, that's an opportunity. The breakout rooms hosting is an opportunity. And I'm also, Paul Moxon and I are also still looking for people to be reporters on the session. So any of you who are already registered, if you'd like to write up a report for us, that would be swell.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Casey, did you have something?
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say, just about the reviewing sessions and to get in touch with Paul Moxon.
Yeah, or with me, right?
Or with George.
I actually became owner of that Google Doc this week, which I don't know, but anyway, I haven't checked it recently, but we've still got quite a few spaces. So
yeah, it's yeah.
I just talked to Paul yesterday. I think he said there were only two sessions left that needed people.
Terrific.
Because I signed up for one, so I think he said there were 2 left, but I could be wrong.
Excellent. That's great. It is Paul's job, not mine, but we were having trouble getting the links out to people who weren't on the APHA board, and so he reassigned the ownership to me so I could send the links and they'd work.
Okay. Very good. Any other comments about the Aways Goose? Exciting opportunity. I love speakers. I'm really thrilled, and I participated in one workshop this week, the reductive printing with Mary Bruno. That was really awesome. And we're supposed to exhibit our work on Tuesday, Election Day. So
they moved it to Wednesday, I think. So
it's
going to be Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Okay.
So everybody will be a little bleary-eyed.
Okay. Well, oh, cool. Okay. Anything else?
I'm kind of wondering if anybody doing the breakout sessions are doing it about anything in particular. We had proposed to them typesetting in curves for hours. I don't know exactly how this works, but anybody else doing anything specific or just loose?
Yeah, mine's supposed to be relief printing, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I am gonna make a big effort to plug the calendars, so have the link. I'll make sure everybody has that link. So while you're in there, just plug, hey, you can get a really great example of relief printing.
Yeah. All right. Cool. This is awesome.
Just so everybody's aware, the presentations, it's going to be a kind of an interesting setup the way it runs. The conference presentations, like the papers, will all be pre-recorded. So those potentially, those are going to go very, very smoothly. And then in other slots on the conference, there's live Zoom kind of interactive stuff, but it isn't all dependent on Zoom operating smoothly and all that stuff. So, and there will be the opportunity for people who are registered for the conference to go back and see them again. We're going to have an APHA YouTube channel starting up really soon, and some of that will be there. So the arrangement, the setup of the conference is very, very interesting. It's very cool. And I think it stands every chance of running just like clockwork.
Mm-hmm. What I find that really wonderful is that you can always go back and revisit if you miss something. The recordings are accessible, and it's I'm hoping to share some with my students. So it's a really good educational opportunity for them. So, all right, thank you. As always, we have a call for programming, events, and ideas, and that's what I did. It's an interesting new world, new reality, which is a term I hate, but we've got to be creative and try to find opportunities for engagement for not only our memberships, for potential members. It is our mantra, is to spread the printing history to the world. And so programming ideas always welcome, and you can send them to any of us officers. We need creativity, especially when we aren't quite sure when we're going to get back together face to face. How can we continue our mission? And so any suggestions today? Let's hear them.
I can add something.
Well, I think you're muted.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was wondering if maybe some kind of more in-depth technical workshops, but for our members and other chapter members, like maybe people want to learn about kerning type, and Chris, you could show people how you kern type within thousandths of an inch, or if there's any interest in having sort of really nerdy, really technical workshops that we could open up to other chapters as well.
That's an excellent idea. I know the upstate New York has some really awesome opportunities that we can collaborate with, and so it can be across any of the chapters. So awesome. Mm-hmm. Let's figure out how we can do this. Great idea. Okay. Who else? Ray and Jill, did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to add something to kind of new business, and I don't want to reveal my source of this, but I am aware, I've heard that there is disturbing news from the Smithsonian about them dumping their type collection of kind of unsorted, typefaces and stuff. They're undocumented ones. And I find that, it makes me want to shoot people, so. And I think we ought to be behind the thing of it not happening under our watch without some, rescue effort on our part.
Well, I could say a little bit to that, which is that I've had some emails with Stan Nelson, who of course used to work with all that material, and evidently when there used to be a crew of people that went to Silver Hill where the stuff is stored, that facility, and they were inventorying this vast amount of material that they have there as volunteers. And then they discovered that these Quonset Quonset hut buildings were insulated with asbestos. And so they shut all the buildings down and nobody could go back in there. And so the cataloging stopped. And now whoever it is that's now in charge of the American history thing has sent around a note saying, thank you to everybody for your input, basically. But I've decided that whatever has not been inventoried is going to be deaccessioned. And the decision is final. So it was sort of a cheerful but very firm, don't bother to talk to me about this again kind of thing on the note. And the thing that bothers us most at this point is that evidently it's building 18 out of 2 buildings. And building 18 is evident, I think, is supposed to be full of all kinds of fonts of type. Stan said something once that there are something like 30,000 fonts of type. They're not big, but anyway, it would be a huge, vast trove of historic printing material. And because it's made primarily of lead, the concern is that they might do a thing that they did over at GPO, which is to decide that because it's lead, it's practically radioactive. And that means that they'll hire some firm to come in and collect everything and cart it off for scrap. So this is really disturbing. It's a horrible development. But I'm not sure. I mean, we should talk to people like Stan.
Well,
to find out what can we do. But
and Joan and Helena, and let me just add that quite some while ago, but a while ago, I was contacted in a sort of semi-official way by Joan and Helena, who is back working, about this. And they were working at that point as hard as they could possibly work to find ways to get the stuff placed. So I don't know what the status of that is right now, but I know that they talked with me. They also brought some other people in who were much more expert than me, including Rich Kegler and Amelia Fontenelle. And they gave advice about possible places that it might be able to be offered to and stuff like that. So I don't know what the status is now, because I haven't been in touch with either one of them in a while. But since neither of them is on today, we can't ask them, but we can certainly find out what's going on from Joan. I mean, because it's her area.
I mean, I don't know for sure that things are going to be scrapped.
Right.
It's just that George had this terrible experience over at GPO.
Right.
Where these people came in like basically under the cover of darkness, and in a single day had swept out all the material, and it was gone. So.
Yeah. Although that's quite a different situation.
It is.
Because in the case of GPO, I mean, where we were was that it was not museum material, and it wasn't covered by accession agreements and all that kind of thing. So I mean, there wasn't anything that protected it. With Smithsonian, there is. I mean, that's all. There are certain protections that are in place that they have to abide by, and they can de-accession, but there's a process. And as we all well know, as Cynthia can attest, the process can spin on for years if somebody takes a mind to do that. So, I think what we need to do is put the question to the people whose job this is, which is Joan and Helena, and see what they can tell us. So.
Well, let's don't lollygag around and let this happen.
Well, hopefully they'll send it to another institution. I mean, that would be the ideal thing if it could be saved.
Absolutely.
But I think it's a group like you who could suggest places to approach. I'm sure Joan and Helena have done some, but
right.
And I'm retired, but I get all the emails from American history, so I've seen what's gone by, and they've tried to do it. I mean, I'm not trying to defend anything, but they have a very set procedure, and they've gone through all the things. And the director is relatively new, and I think she's trying to be as fair-handed as possible. But I think she's just judging from her emails. She's not going to change it, and that we just they need to move on. So it's just locating where it might go.
And one of the challenges that I'm aware of there is that, you know, in order for it to be okay for the Smithsonian to place stuff, the institution or the group has to meet a lot of the Smithsonian's requirements. And it, to the naked eye, what it starts to look like is that you aren't really eligible to be to act in the place of the Smithsonian in this role unless you're the Smithsonian. You know, the standard, the bar about what they have to meet is very, very high. But I mean, that was the challenge they were trying to overcome when I talked with them and when Amelia and Rich came down and talked to them. I wasn't clear that what was primarily at risk was in fact type. What I understood was primarily at risk was mats. But
well, that may very well be. I don't.
There probably is type, but I know that there was a couple of huge collections of mats, which are a little different thing. I mean, you know, those are presumably mats are not going to be declared hazardous waste. So anyway.
Well, there's time coming up for an executive order from the President of the United States in January to stop this.
Noted.
Yes, that's all. All right. So, continuation of this. I guess new business announcements from the floor. Any member? Anything happening? Anything occurring? Have we during this time?
Well, I'd just like to make a sort of sad announcement. It's a mixture of things, but Seth is evidently going to be migrating away to Rochester. And while we're all thrilled that he's found a job in his field, we're really distressed that he's going to have to do it up there. It's a real loss to the local community here. We just want to put that note in.
Let me just add, I'm still going to be a Chesapeake chapter member. I'm not joining Upstate New York. Don't worry about that, folks. I know where my
love Upstate New York, and you can be a member of both.
Yeah, we can gerrymander our district to compete.
There we go.
We already have a gerrymandered district, you know.
That's right.
We've got Pittsburgh members. So.
Seth, tell us what your job will be.
Yeah.
Where are you headed?
So I'll be working as a mechanical engineer for a firm up there that does building systems, plumbing, fire suppression, HVAC, things like that. So getting out of cultural heritage, going back to engineering where I started. But I made sure I'm only looking at apartments with concrete slab floors because my plan is to get a nice big press set up, and I think I found the one. So we'll see.
I would just say, if I could briefly, one other thing.
Sure.
That an old friend of ours and an old chapter member, Jim Walzak, who has moved to Massachusetts, was a great type founder and a wonderful printing person, has unfortunately been diagnosed with lymphoma recently. He's about like 88, but he's in outstanding good condition, and this is a curable thing. So we're just very hopeful about that. So any of you that had a chance to meet Jim and know him over some years, just so everybody knows about that.
Okay. Any other announcements from the floor.
I'd like to say we still have, well, there, I don't know, Seth, are they about the press that you had your thing? There's the Iron Hand press still to go from his collection, and lots of type and lots of books. So when it gets to the point where we can get around some, we could have a couple more open houses and people could come by and see what Stan Nelson had made a pretty good list of what, and Chris has been extremely helpful too. So it's some good stuff, and I think Roland would be really pleased that it would go into the hands of some of you. So just know that's there.
Okay.
I
Good to
have
know.
something.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with our chapter, but I don't know if any of you people are aware of Felicia Rice out in California. She has the Moving Parts Press. She's had it for like 40 years. She burnt down to the ground in the fort and all the fires out there. She lost her press, she lost her home, she lost her archives. It's absolutely really sad and terrible. If you're interested in helping her, she has a GoFundMe site. You can go to her website, which is movingpartspress.com, and follow the links. I just promised her I would share that with you guys in case anybody was interested.
Diane, there was a brief discussion at our National APHA board meeting recently about whether APHA can have a sort of compassionate fund, and it's for an organization of our type. It's difficult, but it's really good that the GoFundMe site is there because people can then just migrate directly there, and it sort of centralizes it and make it more broadly available. The organization, in effect, I think can't really do it because it's
right. I didn't think for the organization, but I said I would share it.
Yeah,
if anybody was interested.
but it has come up, and the NorCal chapter is really kind of out there,
right?
Beaten for. So yeah.
Any other announcements? All good stuff. All right. Well, that concludes the agenda items. George, is this a motion for adjournment, or can I just call it?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you all for,
Thank you.
thank you all.